Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. Welcome to what I hope will be July on the server. I understand that's a weird statement, but we've had some excessive downtime from Nitrado, which is the company that hosts the servers on or for Giants, so just definitely been a challenge, and we finally got let on. When I got on here, it was June, which obviously is a day behind. I tried to sleep until 9 a.m. the next day, which is as late as I could go, and basically was stuck in a cycle where I just kept seeing Z for a long time, to the point where eventually, and I thought, like, looks like multiple nights are going by. And then I saw snow. And I'm like, there's no snow in July. Sometimes I've heard Christmas in July, so I suppose it could happen, but this is Farm Simulator. It doesn't work that way. Alright, so let's say that we're back on here again, and maybe everything is working. The reason I say that is I've had to actually go out, reboot the machine. Yeah, it looks like we're still having a bit of a wheel problem, so, which is okay. I mean, I can function, it's just not what I'd like, so not sure I'm gonna worry about it much. Alright, so lots of things moving around and unfolding. Looks like I'm all set on that part of things. I want to not have the straw swath running. Again, I'm not going to be baling here. So the harvest is beginning. So there we go. We are pulling up wheat. So at this point, the person who purchased our corn, also willing to purchase the wheat, they've offered 510 per 1,000 liters. Again, I'll have to take a look at that and see how that compares to what my options are. And again, keeping in mind that I'd like to go ahead and make sure the wheat gets to Suez. So I may take a slightly lower price just because of that, but in any event, we're going to harvest right now is going to be our focus. So yeah, there were some resets of the Logitech basically configuration utility. At one point it said something about having to restart for things to take effect, even though it's never done that before. But I went ahead and did that in between when I started up here, and then went in hoping that the smaller angle of attack of the wheel would actually work, but it does not appear to be the case. So I'm not going to continue to fight that now, because at this point, because the servers were down, it is actually relatively late in the day. It's not terribly late, but it's approaching 3 p.m., so you know, obviously we'll be okay however long we need to harvest, because the server only thinks it's 9, but when I cycle around, and just the reality of I'm still a human living in the physical world, and when it's nighttime, I tend to sleep. And I'd like to do that since I'm still kind of getting over feeling under the weather, as I talked about last episode, or 2 episodes ago. I'm not even sure. It's probably 2 episodes ago at this point when I was plowing field 24. So let's see. I want to go back one more time. I think I do. Just because it'll give me more space to turn around when I'm going north-south. So I'm going to do the same thing I did when I worked this field before and planted it, which is basically mainly go north-south and then handle the part behind the island here going this way. So what I can do, because I would like to not have to empty in the middle, so I'm going to go ahead, because at this point I'll be going east-west anyway. I thought I had picked things up. Oh, I see. I'm not in the space there, because I'm like, it should move faster. Whoops. Just trying to see where things are, because I'm going to want to cut over. But no, what I was trying to do was to make sure that I can get to the end of the row before I'm full. And I should be okay now that I missed that segment, since it was about 53%, and granted, I wasn't necessarily doing full rows. But I'm hoping this will work, and that way I'll be able to be going the other way, or have the pipe out, hopefully, when I'm finally full. So, just as with the corn, we're obviously going to see how things go. We're going to continue to accumulate our data here, see how much wheat we get off this field, and that will help formulate our decisions in the future. But yes, Alright, so we're going to pick this up, and what may make things not work very well may be the fact, well, actually I can make it work, because I'll just go back and I'll start on the other side of the field, which will let me line things up a little better. Alright, getting some strange behavior, because I'm not seeing a lag at the bottom of the screen there in the minimap, but obviously it's behaving quite strangely. So yeah, it looks like the wheat did not grow quite exactly into the line that I would have expected, but we've got what we've got. So once again, this row counter is going to be counting differently, because I didn't start in the same place. So let me move this over. You see the blue just barely. If you can't, I can. That's probably the important thing. So that'll get us lined up here. And then we'll head this way, put our header down, and then put our pipe out. And then definitely before we get to the north end, we will be full. If we're not, I'll be entirely amazed. But because obviously some of this field is going to slice away, but we're already up at 90% full. So even though we're going to get a little less and less wheat every 50 or 100 feet, I think we're still going to have enough wheat to make everything full here. Yep, we're getting real close, so just keep an eye on that so we don't run through things. And there we go. Alright, go get the truck. Alright, so gonna get the truck up there. Continuing to have some issues, so I've had to bounce in and out of the server again. Just because of how things were not working. I couldn't get back in my truck after I got out to plug in the hoses. I don't know why. So yeah, overall, this has been spectacular. So there is still the possibility, because they haven't gotten kind of an official okay from the Trotto, that these servers are still going to hop back, which would not be good, because that would mean that all the work I do here is going to be in vain, which would really not be a good thing. I can't even express how not a good thing that would be. So let's let this go. I'm going to have to kind of reset my GPS. Get ourselves locked back in here. And obviously now we're not at negative 21 or whatever it is. We're at 0. But that means, you know we've got about 30 rows across. So definitely been more challenging than I was expecting, because my hope was that I was going to get on this morning and do this harvest early in the day and just put it behind me, and then I could do whatever else it was I felt like doing the remainder of the day. Instead, I'm now going to be chasing the clock again, trying to get done in the time I have left. So, not much I can do. Stuff like that happens once in a while. I think this may be the first time that it has happened since I've been sharing my travails on Misty Hills with you on my channel. But this is what ends up occurring, is that we get a situation where the time we had to harvest suddenly is in danger of not being enough, because we can't be on the server the length of time we want. Now, in theory, wheat is harvestable tomorrow as well. So if somehow I can't get done today, all is not lost. But if this had waited a little bit longer, the pressure certainly would have ratcheted it up pretty high, where there is a reality sometimes, and I've had it happen once, where we could not get back onto the server before my crop withered. And there's really nothing we can do about that other than obviously feel sorry for the fact that that happened. But hopefully we're not going to have to worry about it too much. So now I'm going to go ahead here and run across the top and kind of do our header runs that we've talked about before. So we'll get this done here. We'll go down. We'll do the one across the edge. Now I won't be able to do the one for the island, because, I mean, I could if I cut across, but not necessarily a reason to do that right away, and just potentially creates a bit of confusion. So other than that one tree back there, pretty much at the start, that was really close to the field, we do have a good amount of leeway off the field here to turn, so I think one good sized swath through here on the north end will work just swimmingly. So I'm not going to have to run back with another cut. And what I may do is just turn around at this point and then continue going through the harvest, because going down isn't really going to buy us anything, and we're going to end up basically cutting down here and likely having to touch it up anyway, because because things will be set differently when we get over here, so we probably wouldn't have a full row anyway. So we head over there. That deer was in danger. If only it knew. But it got away, so we'll take that and go from there. At this point, should be able to get things lined up here. So we're going to hope that we can get clear. Of course not. Why would we? So we might have to back up here. Because, yeah, we've got to be over at this end, because that's just how a straight run ends up looking at this end of the field, where the field cuts into the east a bit as it goes through. So yeah, I'm not quite sure if we're going to have similar throughput to the corn. That would make sense, because we're basically getting offered about the same amount per 1,000 liters. And I think that's what I've certainly seen before, is that to make things work, you adjust for that, and if the yield is similar, basically the price is going to be similar. So I think with what the broker's offering us being similar to corn, you know, wheat's got to be pretty close in yield, I would think, as well. So with that, at this point, I think I am going to go ahead and cut to some time lapse. Get this field done that way, so that you're not necessarily spending hours with me again. She'll be doing it virtually through time lapse if you choose to stick around. And hopefully it's an enjoyable watch, and I'll see you in a bit. So I'm back on the next morning. I had finished all of this up here before, and so in the reset overnight, I think it went backwards. When I got on, it was July at 10 a.m. So it's supposed to be August at about this time. So here we are, and I guess I'll see what I can do. Now the challenge is, hold on, I'm just trying to get my GPS line set. So I'm hoping I don't have the same issue, which yesterday was I literally could go maybe 20 minutes and I would lose control of the ability to move any of my gear. I'd have to log out and log back in, and that's how I was making progress, which was extremely tedious. I mean, this is a long enough process as it is. Never watched this, but yeah, it just spirals up and pours in, huh? Or maybe comes out that pipe, I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess it comes out that pipe and then it just spins in the hopper. But, so yeah, I'm hoping I have better luck today. Obviously, I need to get this done. If we look at the calendar, today's the last day I can harvest. Again, wheat's actually up here, but still. So yeah, so I was hoping I had a little bit left, because I should be over that little space, and instead I've got to redo this entire section. But more importantly, I'm hoping, because the sleep went correctly, that maybe the servers are in a little better shape than they were yesterday. So I will find out, and I will let you know. Last part of the wheat coming up here. So maybe 500? Ooh, just shy. So can turn that off. Grab our truck, which we had just unloaded here. So I think we have 320,000 in the silo, and we're going to add this. So obviously not going to hit 400, but I think we got quite a bit more. So we're going to be at like 370 or so, or I guess 367. So I think it's going to be 367,960. Unless, of course, we get some weird farming simulator math where we lose a liter or something. But we had a little bit of that where we took a truck with 79,999, but then, you know, it worked out. Where now we have an even 320,000 in the silo. So obviously adding 47,960 to that should be pretty clearly that amount. So I'm gonna leave this in the truck, and actually I'll just place the truck there with the thought of going ahead and moving that eventually, because obviously the first thing we're going to do is transport that at some point. So let me fold that, and then we'll dump that off. we'll get ourselves to the yard. We'll put that in. So the good news is, the server appears to be operating as I would expect it to. Did not have to get off every 20 minutes like I was. Obviously, again, the bad news is I think it was an hour of work that had to be redone. So obviously we would have preferred to have avoided that, but nothing we can do about it. That's the reality of a real-time server and it running and sometimes having some issues. So, but took about a little over 2 hours today of work. Probably a couple hours the other day of work if I really get rid of all the flailing around. But, you know, all in all, not a bad showing. So I'm just kind of trying to line myself up here to park once I'm all done. Oops, I think I went too far. Alright, so 506 to repair the header. A little under 4,000 to repair the harvester. So certainly not terrible. Let's get ourselves cleaned up here so that our equipment stays in as good working order as it can for as long as it can. Alright, we'll clean the harvester now. So yeah, harvester's doing a good job. No complaints really with it. I have looked, obviously for FSN we still have to do other things to get it here, but there's not anything with a adjustable pipe like there was in FS19, which is unfortunate, and it really was just a case that had that, so it was really nice to be able to do an angle and not have to keep pulling out. But I did find, I think, a way that works where basically I just turn the wheel as far as I can and basically rotate 180 degrees. And then, we're kind of in good shape there. So, anyhow, harvest is done for year 83. I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. If we take a look at our animals, we are getting a little, we're lower on food, down to 10,000. I don't know how much of this might have been some of the server bouncing around, because frankly I was surprised when I popped in here earlier as I was harvesting to see how many pigs I have. Because at this point, if I head over, it's easier than trying to add. So now I have 78 animals. And I get there were some animals that were pregnant and so forth, but it's still quite a bit. So we're getting close to half, so maybe the slurry capacity is 50,000. But, these would be our oldest. They're 15 months old at this point, according to this. We've got 9. Alright, so these were just born. These were really just born. They're 0 months. Another set of 0 months and 0 months. So I guess it's possible, because basically, like, all of our piglets at once had babies, and this is like our second cycle of these guys. Actually, maybe even our third, because yeah, I think there's some there. So we'll see how it goes, but obviously we've, I think, got a maximum on this pen of 108, so we're going to be at capacity before we know it, probably in another year. And then just have to monitor. So right now 787 is as high as it goes. But not doing too badly. So, to be fully transparent, as strange as it sounds, I'm somewhat debating some dairy cows. And what I might do is use the space here to just basically handle that, if I do it. Not ready yet. Still thinking I'm going to regret it, because I know how much work that is. I mean, we're going to have to grow grass, mow grass, wait for it to turn to straw, collect it. There's going to be additional buildings, additional stuff. It's not a small enterprise. I mean, it's probably going to take $3 or $4 million to do it at scale, just between buying the barn and all of that. So I'm not sure yet. It may happen, it may not. Some of it is, yes, now I'm settling into that slower pace, but it's not as if I don't have enough to keep me busy with other things in the world. So I know because I've been there, I'll be regretful if Farming Simulator suddenly becomes my entire life every day. That's not what I'm looking for it to be the outcome as. So, but in any event, enough of my babbling. Thanks for tagging along. Thanks, Klaus, for making a great harvester that helped me get that wheat up, and I will see you next time.